So I am back with a brand new DCEU update. So officially, we'll be switching over to the DCU, which I think is a lot easier to say than the DCEU. I think it just sounds better. But I've got an update here for you guys today. Today is going to be Superman heavy. But before I talk about Superman, I want to talk about a couple of other smaller stories that have hit the internet over the last couple of days. First of all, the Green Lantern, ever gestating Green Lantern TV show on HBO Max is going through some more massive changes. It is no longer going to focus on not just Jon Stewart. They were also talking about doing Alan Scott and Guy Gardner. Well, that has all changed. It is now going to be Jon Stewart focused. Now, I don't know how they're still going to do this without having Hal Jordan in there, and I'm still waiting to see what they're going to do. You know, I'm still having hopes that Ryan Reynolds will come back and play Green Lantern, and that may not be a popular opinion by a lot of people, but I did not mind him in that role one bit. He wasn't the problem with the movie. It was more of the storyline and some of the execution, but he was fine. I actually really enjoy the extended version of Green Lantern. I think it's a good movie, not something they need to restart. I would like to see it a continuation of that. But I digress. I am hoping, now this is going to be a big telltale on whether or not the Snyderverse will be restored, because for people who don't know, Wayne T. Carr was cast as Jon Stewart in Zack Snyder's Justice League and actually shot a scene for Zack Snyder's Justice League, but it was nixed by Warner Brothers. Well, the old regime is gone. So I'm hoping that the new show will be starring Wayne T. Carr. That's going to be a big telltale sign, because that is, they're definitely getting different writers and they're going to fix that show. So it's still a ways off. But there are things gestating with that. So that is coming. And you can't have a real Justice League without Hal Jordan or Jon Stewart. I think they both need to be in there. And we'll see where that leads in the future. The other story has to do with the Batman Arkham show that's going to trail off of Pattinson's Batman series. That is also undergoing some changes, and I think some rewrites and some other things. So those shows are coming. Now let's talk about Superman. All right. For people who are wondering if there isn't something going on in the future with Zack Snyder and with Superman, wonder no more. There was a direct quote from both, not just Henry Cavill, but also from Zack Snyder. Zack Snyder did break his silence the other day, and this is what he had to say. All right, so for anybody who, is still saying there aren't plans for the future, you could just stop. I've shown plenty of proof on my channel over the last couple of years, that shows that Zack Snyder is still very much in the DC corner and is planning something for the future. Now, people have to understand, and I'll keep mentioning this, he has a contract with Netflix. He cannot publicly talk about anything else he is working on until that contract is up, but that doesn't mean he isn't working on something behind the scenes. His Thanksgiving post last year proves that he is working on something. He doesn't just post he didn't just post what he posted for, just laughs and giggles and whatever. He doesn't do that. He doesn't do that on social media. And he specifically came out and showed Final Crisis and a couple of notebooks on top of the Final Crisis graphic novel. Now, I'm not a big fan of the Final Crisis storyline. I'm not a Grant Morrison fan. Let's put it that way. I think the guy's writing is very convoluted. I don't care for Grant Morrison at all. And that may not be a popular opinion either, but in comic books, I avoid stuff that Grant Morrison writes. It's too out there. It's not really smart. He just kind of throws stuff in there to try to make stuff relevant that's really not, and it's kind of annoying, some of the pranks that he pulls as a writer. So I'm not a Grant Morrison fan. And I'm not a big Final Crisis fan. But that doesn't mean they're not going to weave that into the storyline. We still have Darkseid coming to Earth. There are more reports that Zack Snyder's Justice League is definitely going to be canon moving forward, which means they do plan on following up with that story down the line. Whether it's with Zack Snyder or somebody else remains to be seen, but I think all the proof is in the pudding that Zack Snyder will be back to finish off that storyline in the future once his contract is up with Netflix. Again, these people can't just wait. Warner Brothers can't wait. There are plenty of stories to be told. Now, Henry Cavill also broke his silence on becoming Superman again, and he did an interview with Josh Horowitz. So there's a 45 or 43 or 48-minute interview that you can find on YouTube where Josh Horowitz sat down with Henry Cavill just the other day, and he ran through everything that happened. And the whole first part of that interview was talking about Superman. And it's very interesting. There are rumors that the new Superman movie, first of all, is going to be Dawn of Hope, and that's something I previously forgot to mention. His agent, The Rock's agent, they've been using this hashtag, that hashtag in their social media posts, and people believe that that is going to be the title of the new Superman movie. Now, Henry Cavill came out and said that he never stopped hoping to be Superman again. And like I've said, he was silent through the whole entire ordeal with Warner Brothers because he didn't want to ruin his chances of coming back. He was very smart in his decision. And I'm kind of hoping that they'll go back and fix the Shazam movie and maybe put him in that. They could easily do, because everything's shot digitally, they could actually put him in the film in the future, and it would be nice to seal the deal and get him actually in the film rather than a faceless, just a headless Superman. That would be pretty freaking awesome if they could retool that scene. But again, I digress. That's something I wish would happen. But he never stopped wanting to be Superman. And he talks about how this all came about when he was on The Witcher, and this was all about the Comic-Con time too. So he was supposed to come to the Comic-Con. So the insiders were right that there was something going on with Henry Cavill, but it didn't have to do with COVID. It didn't have to do with the Comic-Con. He had to meet in a secret, special, hidden set in England to film that scene for Black Adam. He had to get permission from the Witcher crew to leave to go do this. It was interesting. It was a top secret thing. They couldn't tell him. And even the set was top secret. They weren't allowed to talk about it. And he was wondering what it was going to be like to get back in the suit. He said he didn't know if it was going to be nostalgic or just like, hey, cool, I'm back in the suit. But he said it was one of the highlights of his career. And he said he is extremely excited to tell a joyful story of Superman. So the next Superman film is going to be the Superman that everybody has been waiting for. And, a lot of people hate Zack Snyder for doing what he did with Superman. Superman was a very beat-down character. And if you watch the extended version of Batman vs. Superman, there are real reasons for what he was doing. And Zack Snyder said the plan was always to have him come back and be the joyful, happy-go-lucky Superman we've always seen. And I think we saw a big glimpse of that at the end of Zack Snyder's Justice League. When Superman comes back, my absolute favorite scenes in Zack Snyder's Justice League is on the farm with Henry Cavill when he's up in the room talking with Lois. That is one of the most... I just love that scene. It's very touching. It almost tears me up. And, when he was talking with his mom and with Lois saying, they brought me back for a reason. I've got to go find out what it is. He has no fear of dying. He has no fear of anything at this stage. He's happy to be back and to get in the fold. And when he goes to fight, it's with such ease, and you can see it in his face. That's what I loved more than anything. Like, they really nailed Superman in Zack Snyder's Justice League. And I was eager to see that continue. Both Batman and Superman were kind of redeemed at that point. We were going to get the Batman that was more cautious and not killing people all the time, and the Superman that was just happy to be back. And we were going to see those characters going forward. Now, one thing that was also settled during this interview, there was a lot of talk. A lot of people on social media said that's the Justice League suit. Oh my gosh, they're turning away from Zack Snyder. And it was just the opposite. Henry Cavill himself said that was the exact suit that they used in Zack Snyder's Man of Steel. So it was that throwback suit. He said it was the original suit, and which is awesome. And I told people, when you watch Zack Snyder's Justice League and he goes through the Kryptonian ship to look for a suit, the Superman suit was one of the suits that he could have, the original Superman suit was one of the suits he could have chosen, but he chose the black one instead. So this it's definitely not Justice League. It is all Zack Snyder. So all of the proof is in the pudding so far that at some point Zack Snyder's vision is going to be restored. We know for certain his universe is moving forward. They are not moving away from Zack Snyder's vision for these characters and what was established. So this news has been incredible for the last couple of weeks, and I look forward to continuing to bring these stories to you and to cover all of this stuff on my channel. So I appreciate all the support. A year ago, I only had 1,000 subscribers. I'm just over 4,200 at this stage, and I'm looking forward to having my channel grow. And I'm grateful for everybody that has supported me up to this point. And I will be covering everything DC movie related going forward, and we're going to have a lot to talk about. And that's why I've had to do videos almost every day. I'm still going to do movie reviews and stuff, and I've still got to see if I could dig up my last 3 or 4 episodes of Titans Season 3. I hated that season. I hated it beyond. I just really did not like the last season at all, and the new season is starting, so I figure I might as well get those reviews out there very soon if I can still find them. I don't even know if they still exist, to be honest with you. I've changed computers, and I don't know if those files are still around, but I will be covering the new Titan season when it starts. So there's a lot I'm going to be covering on my channel, DC related, going into the future. So stick to my channel. If you haven't already, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and we will see you on the next video.